keeps telling me that I'm still like 10%, 20%. So once I get the okay from this app, then I will be with you guys in just a minute to talk about, of course, the scenario that we have going on for the NBA Finals. But let me just double check everything. All right, my phone is telling me that I'm live. Just want to make sure that we're live. Yep. All right, guys, welcome back to The Charge, where we're giving you yet another NBA live stream. Of course, this is talking after Game 6 between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. And Supreme Gamer, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Yep, the Heat made it to the NBA Finals. Am I upset? Very upset. Definitely got a lot angry in that game, especially in that fourth quarter. But let's talk about the whole recap of the game, guys. This game really came down to the three-point shooting, in my opinion, for the Miami Heat. Duncan Robinson was on another level today in terms of his efficiency. 5 of 7 from three-point land. You got Jay Crowder still struggling from three-point land, so that'll be an interesting one to see. But it also was the emergence and the return of Andre Iguodala, which we haven't seen Andre Iguodala be this effective, or we haven't seen Andre Iguodala really at all during these playoffs. I mean, the last couple games, he's played a couple minutes, or he hasn't played any minutes. It hasn't really made a big impact, but today Andre Iguodala found the fountain of youth and absolutely dominated the game. And so when you have that going, it's just hard to stop. And also when you have the Celtics, who, for the most part, did a really good job with the turnover battle. Only 10 turnovers in the game for total, which should be able to win you a game. But when you shoot 32% from the three-point land compared to 48%, you're going to win every time with that three-point percentage. And again, it just came down to, once again, the way that the Boston Celtics, during the fourth quarter, like you said, Supreme Gamer, just couldn't buy a bucket, and also tried to play too much hero ball. We saw Kemba Walker take a lot of threes. We saw Jason Tatum try and take some hero threes. Like, there's times and places where you can take those threes, but there's also times where you have to attack and do a really good job. I really think, like we talked about before, when Tyrese and Supreme Gamer, you were on here, it really does come down to the way that we need to attack the paint a little bit more. I know that we have enough scoring. I like the way that we score, but in terms of something that comes from the middle, it's a little disappointing to see from guys like Theis, guys like Robert Williams, who got us 2 points. There's a nice pass from Jason Tatum, but it's kind of sad to see that the Boston Celtics went down this way. I really think that they played a lot better than they showed. I mean, the first three quarters were the big factor. Hey, Yoy, how you doing, man? But it was still disappointing to watch. And, this stream was up late because I'm also kind of watching the Packers and the Saints, and I kind of want to check fantasy football in that aspect. So I'm sorry, guys, the stream was a little bit late. But yeah, what was the frustrating thing about this whole thing, like I said, is the fact that it was the fact that we just didn't really play very well down the stretch. And as you can tell by a -10, a -17 from even though Jaylen Brown, I think, played tremendously, and I think that he should have gotten more shots. Marcus Smart had 22 today. Gordon Hayward had 5 of 12. I think it's time to move on from Gordon Hayward. I'm officially calling it. Gordon Hayward hasn't been the same since the ankle injury, and I don't think anybody can be after what happened to him. So I'd like to see someone come in for him and replace him. He's just too slow, doesn't really do much, and the dribbling is just absolutely atrocious. Like, I feel like I could dribble better than him. Even though I'm a guard when I play, pick up basketball. But, you expect an NBA player to dribble the ball a lot better. And the way that he plays, the way that he's acting, it's just absolutely terrible. But Supreme Gamer, kind of what you talked about as what they should do for the offseason, I feel like they should really look at getting a center, and we kind of talked about it. I think trading for a center is the number one thing for me. I think we can get by with Kemba Walker's deficiencies in terms of being a in terms of being a point guard, an undersized point guard at 6'1", even though I think he's more like 5'11", 5'10". But I do think we can get away with that. It's just a matter of the center position. I think Theis is a great role player, but other than that, we didn't really get much from our bench this whole series, right? Grant Williams is a great energy guy, but that's really all you're going to get for him. Gordon Hayward, you're only going to get so much from him, and I think that obviously it'd be either Smart or Jaylen Brown that goes on the bench, and Gordon Hayward gets inserted to the starting lineup. Don't even talk about Otto Porter Jr. Otto Porter Jr., to me, that contract that the Wizards gave him was probably the biggest waste of money. Because I think that Otto Porter Jr. does decently good things, but I don't think he shoots the three ball well enough for him to warrant that big contract. So I think the Bulls have him, if I'm not mistaken, Eoy, which I know you're from the Chicago area and you're a Bulls fan. So, I'm sure that you would love to trade contracts. You know what? Maybe Otto Porter Jr. would be a better fit for us than Gordon Hayward at this point. I just think that Gordon Hayward right now, he rushed back from injury. This is again, two out of the 3 years where we've gone to the Eastern Conference Finals and failed to get to a championship or get to the NBA Finals. And I just think that this is coming down to a very young team again. I think that we're kind of at that point where everything's ready. The dinner's prepared. The oven bake process, as I like to phrase it as, it's ready. I think we're ready to attack the NBA Finals, but at the same time, there's still a lot of growing up to do from guys like Jason Tatum, who again shot poorly in the first 10 minutes. I think he was like 0 for with 10 points. He had 10 points in the second quarter alone, but like the first 10 minutes, he was absolutely atrocious. Did a lot of playmaking, but we just needed the scoring from him. But we also needed scoring from a lot of different guys. But I really think, like I said, it came down to our defense. Our defense was kind of the biggest issue for me. When you give up 48% and 56% from the field goal range and also from three-point land, 48% that is, it's going to be impossible to win against a team like that. So it was a little bit frustrating to see that we couldn't do a really good job of stopping him. But, I would like to see a trade for one of those guys, try and maybe get Joel Embiid, try and get Karl Anthony Towns. But, the one thing and the reason why I titled this video, Jimmy Butler Proves the Haters Wrong, is because I think many of us kind of realized that we kind of underestimated Jimmy Butler a little bit. At least certainly I did. I know at certain times, I just think he wasn't the right fit in Philadelphia. And I think that, like I give credit to Eric Spoelstra and the Miami Heat and Pat Riley. They made that roster work. So it was really cool to see that they made that roster work, that they were able to get a great team to put around him. Duncan Robinson, underrated. You had Goran Dragic, who's also underrated. Jimmy Butler, always looked upon. Bam Adebayo, really the only one that I was like, yes, this guy's going to be a star in this league. But the other guys, you just didn't really know what to expect. Again, Kevin Nunn did not play any minutes. I'm a little disappointed in that. I still think that he could be effective. Watch out for him in the Lakers series. I think he could be a good player for the Lakers if they were able to against the Lakers if they were able to use him. And let's see here. Jason made the finals. They were close to 2018 with less hope. Ed Velbridge, Jalen, Kemba Walker. Yeah, I do agree with you there, Supreme Gamer. I think that we are, this really should have been an NBA Finals trip. And I think that we kind of slipped, and we also did the same thing the Milwaukee Bucks did. We let our guard down. We thought that the Miami Heat, they were a Cinderella team. The Cinderella story stops here. But they proved to you that if you don't take them seriously and you don't, wise up to what they're doing and you don't wise up to their 2-3 zone, or sorry, not 2-3 zone, it's like a 2-2-1 or something like that. It's a really good zone defense. And it took Brad Stevens until game 6 to figure something out for that zone. So that's a little frustrating in my part as well, because I really hoped and expect Brad Stevens to be a film junkie and look at, okay, how are we going to attack the zone? Obviously, in the last game before this one, they didn't really play that much zone until the second half. And this time they played a lot more zone. And as you can tell by the turnovers, we did a really good job. But it's just our defensive principles as Celtics players was very poor, especially for a Brad Stevens team, which I'm really disappointed in, because as a Brad Stevens team, defense is what we pride on. I think we're like #1 defensive rating in the NBA, or like close to it, top 5 at least. I had to look at the stats again to kind of check that out. But that's kind of disappointing to see that the Miami Heat were able to carve their way and attack us through the paint, attack us with three-point shooting, especially, like I said, with guys like Duncan Robinson. You had guys like Crowder at the beginning, obviously not in the last couple games, so we'll see how that carries over to the Lakers finals. And guys, just a reminder, I will be streaming on Tuesday to talk about the Miami Heat and the Lakers preview. So tonight we're just really going to be kind of focusing more on the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics, but it was just a little disappointing to see here. And I was going to ask you about that, as you kind of mentioned here. Yeah, Jimmy's last year in Chicago, you could see he was taking the next step to the next level. It could be fun seeing him and LeBron go at it. I always love their matchups. Yeah, I was going to ask you what you thought about the Jimmy Butler situation, as you were probably, you guys drafted him, you guys, kind of raised him. You guys basically took care of Jimmy Butler as he was a young player. Does it kind of frustrate you that the Chicago owners didn't really see much of Jimmy Butler and kind of just said they were going to ship him off? Because, he made a couple trips. Like I said, he was in Chicago, he was in Minnesota, then Philadelphia, and now ended up at the Miami Heat, where Pat Riley just looked at everything and said, you know what, we could build a team around this. We could do a really good job. But one thing I will say that Jimmy Butler needs to do is score a little bit more. He had 8 assists tonight, which is perfect, which kind of counteracts, just 22 points, because when you play the Lakers, it's going to be a different story. So I'm hoping Jimmy Butler's up for the challenge. I kind of told my friend Brad, and I also kind of mentioned it on Twitter at, I believe it's BMac. I don't know. I don't really use Twitter that much other than to post some things. I believe I am BMac148. Yeah, at BMac148 if you guys want to check out my Twitter. I kind of said that I think it's going to be a sweep for the Lakers. I just don't, and maybe I said that in a passionate rage because of how the Celtics just played poorly in that last, fourth quarter. But it's just going to be an interesting situation to see if the Lakers are able to sweep them. I know a sweep is very unlikely in the NBA Finals. We've only seen it maybe once, right? We've only seen it when it comes to the when did we see it? We saw it when it was LeBron James against the Spurs, when LeBron James went to his first NBA Finals. But I kind of see the Miami Heat kind of in that similar role, where I think that they just don't have enough pieces, in my opinion. I think that you're going to expect Duncan Robinson to do that. I don't think that the Lakers are going to be giving up so many easy pick and rolls with Duncan Robinson, because what was really effective for the Miami Heat was, of course, Duncan Robinson, one, not being afraid to shoot, and two, coming off those pick and rolls, those high pick and rolls off the top of the 3-point line for Duncan Robinson and Bam Adebayo, that it was easy for Duncan Robinson to hit the three, and man, did he hit threes more than ever. Had some open looks. It was kind of cool to it was cool to see, but also frustrating as a Celtics fan, because you can see some stops, and it would be nice to see if Semi Ojeleye can, and that's kind of also what I was disappointed into as a Celtics fan, and kind of bouncing off here and there from like going to the Heat back to the Celtics. I was a little disappointed in Semi Ojeleye not being involved. I thought he would be more involved in everything, but it is what it is. Let's see here. I was trying to part ways, didn't respect anyone in the organization. It was probably vice versa. A lot of people are salty about the trade. Yeah, it kind of sucks, because it's like hindsight's 2020, right? Jimmy Butler, like I said, I think it was both. In every situation, I think it was both. It was right for both teams. I know that's kind of like milquetoast, fence sitter, kind of like right in the middle. But I think that, to be honest, I think that's the reason why Jimmy Butler got so good and why he was so motivated this year to get to the NBA Finals. I think Jimmy Butler saw that this was his best year. We see like Philadelphia fans being salty about it. We see Minnesota fans being salty about it, because those two organizations were the ones that kind of gave up on Jimmy Butler, kind of called Jimmy Butler toxic. I think that's what was kind of said around the league. But it's also one of those things where, like I talked about numerous years ago, and maybe not numerous years ago, like maybe a year or two ago, but I really saw that Jimmy Butler's will to win. We don't really see that from guys like D'Angelo Russell. We don't see that guys from Karl Anthony Towns. We don't see it from Andrew Wiggins, who, I've called out Andrew Wiggins numerous amount of times for that. And I was more on the side of Jimmy Butler in that situation. I think that Jimmy Butler could be a little cruel at times with his verbiage. But he may be right in the situation, but I think the verbiage could have been better. I think it's just the delivery of what he said. But it's still, the point is that, we see guys like Andrew Wiggins kind of enjoyed the league. I think I looked this up on Twitter. I think it's he's an NBA. He's not an NBA trainer. He's a high school trainer, I believe. In if I can find it, guys. I think I liked it. Let me see. Because I think he kind of talked about it when talking about Jimmy Butler and kind of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think I liked it. Let me see here. Or maybe it was on Instagram. Yeah, it was Cuffs the Legend. He's well known just from his association with LeBron James. Some players really just want to win. Some players just want all the perks that come with the league. And I think that's kind of where I'm at with Andrew Wiggins. I'm still hopeful that Karl Anthony Towns can step up his game and actually say, like, look, I'm trying to make the NBA playoffs now. And kind of make a deep run, because Karl Anthony Towns should be one of the best big men in the league, but I think Minnesota is really stunting his growth. I think he's very comfortable in Minnesota, and I would love to see him get out of his comfort zone and actually go on a team and actually go play against people that will actually help them win the games. And so we'll see what happens. I'm curious to see what's going to be going on there, and I would love to see what the Celtics can do in the offseason. I think it's time to make some big trades. It's time to stop with projects. I think it's time to actually go out and trade for players, because if anything, what the Miami Heat showed you guys is that it's not really about the projects that get you to the NBA Finals. It's about actually trading for the players that are good at the moment. And you can make an argument that, the Celtics aren't ready to win yet, but at the same time, I think we are ready to win. I think it's time to start going and attacking and not deal with projects. I think projects are kind of overrated at this point. We saw what happened with the Philadelphia 76ers and that whole debacle. I have a fear that the Boston Celtics are going to be in the similar situation, but I would love to see them kind of improve and actually get some scores in the paint as well. I don't mind Miles Turner, Supreme Gamer, but like I said, I think my whole thing is let's try and get Joel Embiid. I know he's a rival team. I know that they're going to be reluctant to trade him, but I think they're going to have to make a decision really quick as to who they're going to get in terms of, are we building the team around Joel Embiid, or are we doing it around Ben Simmons? And I think the 76ers would like to do it around Ben Simmons over Joel Embiid. So, like I said, I would want to get Joel Embiid or Karl Anthony Towns on the team ASAP, and kind of give ourselves some more viable options. And you know what? If we're going to be facing the Miami Heat every year, this is probably going to be the one team where we're going to have to actually kind of look and see, if we have to go against Bam Adebayo year after year, this is how we're going to have to build the team. And even if we, I think Bam Adebayo has yet to sign his contract extension. I mean, if we could pull a maneuver here and we can try and trade for Bam Adebayo, I actually wouldn't mind that at all. I like Bam Adebayo. I like his tenacity. I like his ability, and he can stretch the floor and is a point center. And kind of like Jokic, maybe not as good as Jokic, but definitely in that same category, just a little bit lesser known for the playmaking. No, Eoy, he's not going to Chicago. He's going to come to the Boston Celtics and actually want to win games and actually want to be part of something where he could actually be the man of a team instead of, cowering, and maybe not cowering is the right word, but kind of just like relaxing and, sipping mojitos or whatever else he's doing in Minnesota. Well, he's probably not even in Minnesota right now, right? He's probably in LA. He's probably somewhere where he's just relaxing in his townhouse or beach house. But I think that the Celtics are looking for star power, Eoy and Supreme Gamer. I think, like I said, I think Miles Turner's a good player, but I would still rather get, Joel Embiid or Karl Anthony Towns if I was in that position. Let's see here. Let's see here. Jimmy was found a home in Chicago. I do like it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that Jimmy Butler does things on both sides of the court, man. Like, he's a good player, and I think that he kind of goes to show you, like, if you have him in your system, you can make him work. And I think that I really give credit to Pat Riley. I give credit to the owner. I give really much credit to Eric Spoelstra making this whole thing work, because, I mean, really, when you think about it, right, Goran Dragic, always overlooked, played in Phoenix. No one really cared about him. He's made a tremendous impact on the court. Maybe not tonight so much, but he definitely did the previous games. Duncan Robinson played a huge impact. I believe he was an undrafted player. And even if he was like a later round player, he still proved to everybody like how good he is with his shooting ability and the way that he's able to shoot. I want to see his contract situation, because I would love to kind of add him to the team. As a Boston Celtics fan, I would love to kind of add his tenacity. I would love to add his shooting, because I think Brad Stevens, with the way that he's able to have, the way that he's able to shoot the rock, the way that he's able to kind of do things, I would love to see Duncan Robinson on our team. And, Jay Crowder, again, we had this player before. Jay Crowder, a very solid role player, can hit threes, but still, you know what? I have to give credit where credit's due. The Miami Heat played a much better game than we did. They played more together. They have more camaraderie than I feel like our team did. I still can sense some tension with Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown. I'm curious to see what the rumors are about that, or what situation comes about that, because I think that's going to be a huge relationship that we're going to have to see. So, Supreme Gamer, you said Joel Embiid for Daniel Theis, Enes Kanter, Gordon Hayward, and 2 first-round picks. You know what? I would do it. I would do it right away to get Gordon Hayward off the team. I really liked the pickup, a couple years ago when he was on the team, but I think Gordon Hayward has a limit, and I think that we've kind of seen his ceiling at this point of his career, right? He's like, 28, 29 years old. And I think that he's not going to get any better or any worse at this point. I think he's kind of going to be like, he's kind of like a mid-level tier player at this point of his career. Like, as much as it's sad to see and sad to say about it, Gordon Hayward, I still think hasn't recovered from that ankle injury, and I think that ankle injury is really affecting him. tremendously, as you can tell by the games when he plays. So I really want to see an improvement. And you know what? I would do this trade in a heartbeat. I do like Daniel Theis. I think he's a great backup center. I would love him as a backup center, but if he wants to start somewhere else, I wouldn't sign him to like a big contract extension. I would definitely let him go if that was the case. If he was on if he was going to be gone really soon. But I'm really hoping for a big acquisition this offseason, because I would love to finally add the missing piece for this ingredient, because it's good. It's kind of like you have, I'm trying to think of like a good food example of it. Maybe I'm just a foodie. I'm trying to think of a good food example. It'd probably be something like hamburgers, right? You can the basic ingredients is that you just kind of flip the hamburger meat on a griddle or wherever you use to cook it, and then you put some bread on it, you put some lettuce, tomato, whatever other, ketchup, mustard, whatever else you like to put on there, and it's good. But there's something about a missing ingredient. There's something special, whether it's the special spread or whether it's the cheese or whether it's the bacon bits or whether whatever you love on their burger, avocado if you're an avocado person. There's a missing ingredient that would make the Celtics that much better. And I would love to see that from the Boston Celtics. I would love to see the Boston Celtics add that piece, because that's what we need. And it's kind of frustrating. It's just, I would definitely trade Kemba Walker if I don't want to. The reason why I don't want to trade him is because I don't want to seem like we failed on the acquisition. And I think that would just be a bad look for both parties, both Kemba Walker and the Boston Celtics. But I honestly wouldn't mind trading Kemba Walker, because he's just too small to be in this league. Not in this league, but to be in a playoff winning team. Kyrie Irving is barely the right size, and he won an NBA championship. The injuries are kind of hindering him right now in his career. But I would love to see like something where we actually, I don't know. Like I want to see the Celtics do a better job of, building around some guys and building around certain players, because right now we're just playing absolutely atrocious at times. And we take bad shots and we try and play hero ball, as we saw from Marcus Smart, who went 4 of 13. I know he's a much improved 3-point shooter, but I don't want to see him shoot 3 more, 3-pointers than my guy Jason Tatum or even Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is a much more consistent 3-point shooter. Not going to be taking it away from Marcus Smart, but he does need to do a better job. And Theis again in foul trouble. That's kind of what caused us to kind of lose this game. But yeah, Kemba Walker, I think he is the third option on this team, to be honest with you. They kind of try to make him the number 2. But Kemba Walker is just too small, from my opinion, to really make a huge impact the way that we want him to. And so I wouldn't mind trading Kemba Walker and getting another asset. Like I said, getting a center, and then you move Marcus Smart. The only problem is our bench. The bench is kind of a suspect bench. We see the Miami Heat have like a really decent bench, with Andre Iguodala and Tyler Hero. If you can have 2, consistent guys off the bench, we didn't really have that with Gordon Hayward. And so we'll see what happens next season. Gordon Hayward playing 32 minutes, obviously made a huge impact in the first game that we won in this series, but I'm just not confident in it, and we'll see what happens. I would love to see what we would do. If I were to trade Kemba Walker, to be honest with you, Supreme Gamer, I would try and even trade him to get a big center or to get a player that would help us win the games. I would trade him, Gordon Hayward, and package maybe a first-round pick or something like that to get Joel Embiid or Karl Anthony Towns. I think I'm still stuck on that, or even something like that. I have certain players that I like, right? I like Lonzo Ball, I like Karl Anthony Towns, I like Joel Embiid, but I think we just need a consistent guard. We need someone that doesn't really take that many shots, because as we can see here, Kemba Walker took 15, Marcus Smart took 22, Jaylen Brown took 17, and Jason Tatum took 26. And so I think I would like to see him being traded for like a big player. Who knows who that big player is going to be? I would have to look at everything. Bradley Beal would be a perfect option for us. Would the Wizards take that? I'm not sure. There's so many star players that I would love to have on this team. It's just a question of if Danny Ainge is willing to pull the trigger on it, because right now we have yet to see that from him. Supreme Gamer, I just think that the Milwaukee Bucks are just not going to trade Giannis. I think the only way we get Giannis, or the only way any team gets Giannis, is if he decides to become a free agent. We've kind of talked about this here on the channel. I think the Bucks would rather let Giannis's contract run out than try and trade him away, because I think they really notice how much of an impact not only does he make on the basketball court, but also on the community and also on ticket sales, merchandise. He's one of the most popular players around the world because he's one, a European player, and two, he's top 2 in the league right now. So I think that we can see Giannis really stepping up at some point. But I would love to see the Celtics try and muster up a trade and get a good player, because right now it's kind of frustrating to see that this roster here, when we signed guys like Enes Kanter, who's supposed to make a difference, he didn't. Guys like Gordon Hayward supposed to make a difference, he hasn't so far. And then Kemba Walker kind of doing okay so far in this league. It was supposed to be adding another player for Jason Tatum, a young player to kind of grow it into his own. Jaylen Brown being the nice supplementary 2 or 3 option on the team. But right now, it's just not looking like that at all. And we're kind of not saying that we're in shambles right now, but I would say that we are definitely going to be looking for different options, in my opinion. Let's see here if there's any real GM news. There shouldn't be any real news. Obviously, the NBA Finals is going to be on Wednesday. It looks like the 76ers are going to be faring to get Mike D'Antoni. You have Tom Thibodeau, who I don't even want to hear from. It's absolutely ridiculous that he would even say anything. Tom Thibodeau kind of ruined the whole situation, in my opinion, for them. I've been a Celtics fan since I was probably when was that, like 2006, 2007, I believe. Ever since the Supersonics left Seattle, I kind of went more towards the Boston Celtics because Ray Allen was one of my favorite players. Still is my favorite player to this day, even though he's retired. So I kind of followed him, and when he went to Boston, it was a lot of fun seeing that. But yeah, I'm more of a Boston Celtics fan because of Ray Allen, and I kind of followed the team. I love the energy. I loved when Kevin Garnett was there, won an NBA championship, and you just need that energy from a guy like that. And I would love if Kevin Garnett would be like some sort of role in the organization, or kind of adding the tenacity that we need for the Boston Celtics, because right now we're missing that. And I would love to see some challenging from Kevin Garnett to our players, even though, I'm hoping that Kevin Garnett wouldn't get in trouble for it, because I know that he can say some outlandish things at times, but I just need that same energy in our field, so we can, or in our court or in our practice. We need something where we can actually kind of look at everything and be like, okay, Kevin Garnett, what do we need to do to win championships? And I think that he would be an amazing kind of instructor, mentor, whatever you want to say, kind of the Steve Nash, what he was for the Golden State Warriors. I think we need that with Kevin Garnett, because I think he would whip some of those guys into shape, especially Jason Tatum. I know Jason Tatum learned from Kobe Bryant, RIP Black Mamba, but I still think he needs to learn a little bit more about shot selection and working on his game. So I'd love to see that at some point as we continue to see young Jason Tatum in his career as Deuce. Obviously not paying attention to the game, looking at his iPad. I want to see the Celtics get to the NBA Finals before Deuce turns, before Deuce goes to high school. Because, Jason Tatum's only going to be in the league for so long. It would just be crazy to see that Jason Tatum still hasn't won a ring at that point, and Deuce is already kind of old enough to remember this stuff. Because, we really should have been to the NBA Finals this year. But it is what it is. Congratulations to the Miami Heat. They played their butts off. They knew the situation. They knew how to attack. They knew how to play defense. And Eric Spoelstra, you got to give the man a lot of credit. I know a lot of people like to blame or try to tie his success to LeBron James and those Miami Heat days. But Eric Spoelstra is a great coach within himself, and I'm glad that he's going to prove it in the NBA Finals, which I think will be 4 to 5 games, but I'm saying a sweep in my opinion. But yeah, Eoy, those 2008 Celtics Bulls series were amazing. Derrick Rose when he was, fully fit, Joakim Noah, Luol Deng, those were some of the fun NBA series. Even when they faced the Miami Heat, those young Chicago Bulls did, and Derrick Rose hit that big time shot. I miss those days of the Chicago Bulls being a very competitive and viable team, because I think that they have the pieces in order to do that. They just need to do a better job of kind of getting the right pieces around them. And let's see here. Yeah, Supreme Gamer, kind of going back to your point, the Celtics do need a bench improvement. I don't know where we're going to get it from. I would love, like I said, to get Robert Covington. I mean, let's kind of look at the 2020 free agents really quick. I don't think there's anybody that notable. If we go to free agents in the NBA, 2020. Let's see here. I don't think that there's that. Okay, I don't want this. I think it's Spot Track is what I want. They're usually pretty good about this. Let's see here. Gordon Hayward has a player option. I wish he would just decline that, but he's probably going to accept that, unfortunately. You know, would I like to add a Paul Millsap? Maybe. Let's see here. There's not really much. I mean, Danilo Gallinari would be another good free agent pickup. I think that just adding him as a scorer, a three-point guy would be good. I really can't think of anybody else. I mean, you know, Bogdan Bogdanovic going to be a restricted free agent. Fred VanVleet would be a great backup point guard for us. I would love to add him on the team. Marvin Bagley kind of doing that contract thing. So, you know, this is going to be the big contract for a lot of these young players. You know, I just don't know who else there would be. You know, Montrezl Harrell is going to be another good pickup, you know, whatever team he decides to go to. I think that's really it, guys. I mean, there's not really that much free agents of notoriety. You know, maybe Carmelo Anthony might be a good option to get at. Like I said, I'd probably have to do a little bit more investigation as to what players would actually fit our system, what players would do really well for us, because I think that there could be some good players here. I would just have to look at more in depth and see which players would give us the best chance and possibilities to win. But I'm really excited about the Celtics' future. But we do need to make some big trades, because otherwise we're just gonna be stuck in that purgatory. But you know, we're gonna be kind of looking, and I'll probably do a separate, like an actual video, or Supreme Gamer Tyrese and the EOA. Would you guys rather prefer it be a video about the Boston Celtics and what they need to do in order to win a championship, or do you think it'd be better to be a live stream? I'm kind of curious to see if the live stream side of it would be more appealing, or would it be more appealing to do a video or a live stream? That's what I'm kind of curious about. See, I wouldn't want Zubac. I think Zubac doesn't really fit our system, Tyrese. I do like Harold. I think Harold is a good systems guy. I think he could be a really good player for us. But I'm not really a Okay, cool. Yeah, so I will definitely work on a video on that. Probably expect it more after the NBA Finals, once everything's kind of cleared and we know who the champion is, so we can kind of officially know, you know, the draft boards. We can know all about the NBA draft and kind of figure that stuff out. I'll probably I'll see if one of my friends will want to do it. I kind of want to do a NBA mock draft kind of look up and kind of see, like, you know, let's say, for example, like LaMelo Ball or Anthony Edwards, and kind of look at that situation. So look forward to that. I'll see if I can get one of my friends to do it with me as well, because I like the interaction from not only myself and you guys, but someone else that, you know, I respect the opinions of, along with you guys as well. Let's see here. Tyrese, you said you can set screen from Kemba. Theis is horrible. See, the thing I like about Theis, though, is I think he's not a bad center. I do believe that they need to get someone that can actually set screens. I do agree with you there, Tyrese. I think, like I said, Theis is a good backup center. I would love to add a starting center, whether it's Joel Embiid, whether it's Karl Anthony Towns, or whether we can get guys like Vucevic or someone else that's not a bad scorer in the paint, because I think that's what we need in order to win games. I think I'm tired of the whole, you know, we're relying on our guard work. I'm old school in that opinion, guys. I'm old school in the fact that I think we need a really good center in order to win games. And so let's see what we can do. I mean, like I said, there's so many free agents to talk about. We could go on for hours about who is going to be the greatest pickup for the for the Boston Celtics and what they can do to win. But like I said, that's probably going to be a video for another day. As we can see here, the center position is not really. Let's see, update. Gotta update that. You know, you have Andre Drummond, you have Hassan Whiteside, Marc Gasol, Bismack, Tristan Thompson, Mahimi, Howard. Yeah, I think Hayward, sorry, his dribbling is absolutely atrocious. I don't know what happened to Gordon Hayward's dribbling when he was in Utah, when he was even in the early years, type of situation. He was much better, but right now I don't know if he needs to go back to handling school or what's going on. But his handle is so off. I mean, there was one time where we were down by like 5 or 6, and he took just a bad dribble, tried to attack the paint, it was halftime. The final shot before Goran Dragic got fouled. It was just absolutely terrible the way that he was trying to attack. ISO ball with Gordon Hayward is definitely not what I would have called on 10 seconds or less on the clock. So that was a little frustrating to see. But yeah, Theis does have a lot of dumb fouls. I think that he's very slow-footed, and that's why I kind of see him more as a backup center. But yeah, Carson Edwards, Romeo Langford, those guys are going to be good on a young team trying to grow and become an NBA playoff team, right? We're right now trying to get to an NBA Finals, trying to actually get to the Eastern Conference Finals once again, and so we need to make sure that we get players that are ready for that role and kind of get some championship experience on this team. I would love to get guys that have championship experience, whether from the center position, whether from the scoring position, or whether from the point guard position. I think more experience is much needed on this team, and I would love to see those pieces added because I think it really takes a special player to understand how to win a championship and how to get there. And right now we just don't have those players on the team. So I would like to see that at some point. The culture. It's always Jalen, Jason, Kemba, and smart community. Yeah, I think Gordon Hayward right now kind of feels like a fish out of water at this point. I think a lot of the teammates don't really respect him. I think a lot of players don't really respect him on the team. It's kind of unfortunate, really, because I think Gordon Hayward's a nice guy, and obviously, it's just one of those things where I think they could do a much better job of adding a better player than Hayward. I mean, Hayward at this point is kind of like on borrowed time, in my opinion, because I think the ankle injury really affected him, and I don't think he's ever going to be the same player that he was in Utah. It was just kind of sad because I think he could have been a really good player if he would have left the Utah Jazz earlier, or maybe if he would have even stayed. I think, the butterfly effect, right? He might have not got injured, and maybe he's a good player, but right now, Gordon Hayward is so off right now. I know he was coming back from injury and didn't really play that much, but it is what it is. But yeah, I would have loved Aaron Baines. Aaron Baines was a great player for us. I remember those big threes that he hit, took some nice blocks, was a really nice player, and then Theis was kind of like a backup player. I think I would love a guy like that on the team again, or just someone in that sort of manner who could stretch the floor, because right now Theis, he can shoot the three, but he's not a really good 3-point shooter. So I would like to see a much more consistent guy in the paint, a much more consistent guy from outside, because I think that's what we definitely need in order to continue to dominate and to continue to play better as we continue to look at everything and all the situations going on, because the Celtics right now are frustrating to watch. They're frustrating in the fourth quarter, and I hope that they can improve at some point. But kind of going back to the Miami Heat, kind of talking about their situation. Obviously, like I said, Bam Adebayo played a tremendous game, 32 points, 5 assists, 14 rebounds, played like an absolute stud. Jimmy Butler also played really well, with those 8 assists and 22 points. You also had Goran Dragic, who was assisting the Rock. Obviously, scoring was not the move for him tonight, but Duncan Robinson, another great player. Tyler Hero did his thing again, and I'm still frustrated to see that Tyler Hero was not the player we took. We shot, I think, I've seen 43s, and the Heat shot 27. That's a problem. We don't take it to the hole. Yeah, I think the team needs to realize when it's the right time to take the three and when it's not the right time to take the three. I think tonight, especially in the fourth quarter, Tyrese, I know you were watching. Supreme Gamer, I know you were watching. And Eoy, I probably know that you were watching as well. We kind of saw them try and play too much hero ball in the fourth quarter. Only down by like 6 points, and we decided to shoot threes, try to get back in the game that way, and that's just not going to cut it. Jason Tatum needs to take it to the hole. Jason Tatum needs to be a lot stronger with the ball and taking it to the hole. I feel like he gets stripped way too easily driving to the hole. So that's definitely something I want to see him improve on. But definitely want to see some improvement from our guys. Not to take the three, but to actually attack the paint, actually attack and actually get us some points. Because right now, it's frustrating to watch. It's frustrating to see that we just can't do a really good job of finishing at the paint. I mean, I don't know if this thing plays it down or breaks it down by like points, 2-point points and all that stuff. I don't think it does, which is kind of unfortunate because I'd love to kind of break that down. Kind of looking at the turnovers again, 30 assists for the Heat, 26 for us. I mean, it's not really that much of a difference. We fouled 21 times, and like you said, Tyrese, that most of those were coming from our guy Theis. And I think we did a horrible job at switching. We did a horrible job at defensively. So I would love to see maybe even Tony Allen come back and be a defensive coach for us and figure out what is going to be the best for us to get better on defense, because right now it just sucks to see that we couldn't get back to that point. And the Miami Heat had a 16-point lead or a 15-point lead at one point. And it's just frustrating to watch. The Miami Heat got 18 points off of turnovers. That's just way too many for only 10 turnovers, right? 18, that means you're giving up a lot of threes, and that's kind of frustrating to see that the Miami Heat got 18 points off of turnovers because they probably shot some big threes in that moment. So and also sucks to see that we got 13 offensive rebounds and couldn't capitalize on it to get us really, the lead or to get us into the game. And really, we won the rebound battle. We won the turnover battle. But the 3-point percentage, that comes back to defense. And right now, our defensive integrity is at hand. It's questioned, and I'm questioning it right now. If I'm Brad Stevens, that's kind of my biggest takeaway from this, is that we really didn't do a good job defensively of switching, getting to the right matchups. We need to help Kemba Walker when he's getting attacked by Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo on switches, because we obviously know that they're trying to switch on Kemba Walker to us as the smallest guy and also probably not the best defender out of all of them. It just sucks to see that that's what they're doing. So it is what it is at this point. Still, again, frustrating to watch us struggle, see us not really playing very well. I would like to see us improve tremendously, but it's going to be up to us to really step up. And right now, we're not doing it right now. And it is what it is at this point, kind of saying of 2020. We needed to do a much better job. We kind of saw the win probability. We had a little bit of a percentage of the probability to win. And we just didn't do a good job, guys. I think that it just came down to we didn't come up when we needed to defensively. I think we got rocked defensively. I mean, like I said, 48% from three-point land is definitely the biggest thing that really got us in trouble. Let's see the biggest free agents of 2020 from ESPN and see if maybe we can add some of these guys. Let's kind of look at what they say about Boston. Let's see. The rookie extension, Jason Tatum, waiting until 2021 for agency shouldn't matter because Tatum is projected for a max and Celtics won't have the space. I mean, that's kind of the process as well. Jason Tatum is going to be on that max at some point. So we're going to have to do a really good job of figuring out trades. We have 3 first-round picks. At some point, I think we need to sell these off or do something with them, because I think that I think it's just time to trade those first-round picks. Let's look at this. Barrington goes to roster shake out Boston's luxury tax for first time since 2012, 2013. 3, including first-round picks. I don't want to be in this. Let's see here. The Celtics have 3 players, Theis, Semi Ojeleye, and Javonte Green, on non-guaranteed contracts. Theis becomes guaranteed 3 days after free agency begins, and Ojeleye on the first day of the moratorium. The position pill restriction of Jaylen Brown's contract expires on the first day of moratorium. Gordon Hayward and Enes Kanter have a player option. I think both those players are expected to opt into those contracts, which is kind of unfortunate because I'd like to see them not do that. But other than that, guys, I think we need, like I said, definitely depth at the center. We definitely need some stretching. I think we definitely need 3-point shooting. I think 3-point shooting was kind of our biggest weakness at this point. Maybe someone that's consistently good off the bench. I would love to see us add kind of like a guy that can just knock down threes, get us some good buckets, get us some good looks from 3-point land. And it's just, we have the guys that can drive. We have Tatum, we have Brown, but I want a consistent 3-point shooter. I know that Marcus Smart has improved, but I think we just need a more consistent 3-point shooter. And I think, guys, that's really going to be it. I mean, other than that, Tyrese, Supreme Gamer, Eoy, do you guys have anything kind of left to say before we kind of sign off here? Because I really can't think of anything. Like I said, I will be doing a Miami Heat Lakers preview on Tuesday, probably later in the night, probably around maybe like 7 o'clock my time, which is on the West Coast. So 10 o'clock if you're on the East Coast, and so forth, kind of looking at different things. But I think that's going to be it, guys, for here on The Charge, kind of giving you another live stream. Again, congrats to the Miami Heat for making it to the NBA Finals. You know, really happy for guys like Eric Spoelstra getting another opportunity to get to the NBA Finals. I know like I said, a lot of people pin that more on LeBron James, but you have to give Eric Spoelstra his credit. You have to give Pat Riley his credit. They were able to build a very good team, an island of misfit toys, if you will, and really made a consistently good from the three-point land, but also really good attacking the paint. As you see Bam Adebayo stepping up, you see Jimmy Butler stepping up, and this is going to be a fun series, guys. You know, NBA Finals, nothing more exciting than getting to the championship of the NBA. Wish it would have been the Boston Celtics, but like I said, it is what it is. But anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. Well, thanks again for joining us here on The Charge. Please remember to hit that like button. Also remember to hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel, and we'll catch you guys on the next live stream and also the